So we are discussing, when is it time to move on from a relationship?
Time to move on from a relationship.
Yes.
Well, I think it depends on the person's mental state. Because for some people, we take just a matter of time, maybe like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, for some months, and for others 2 years. So I think it depends on the person's state.
In this case, we are mainly referring to, let's say, this guy and this girl have dated for 5 years. Either the guy or the girl is not showing any sign or interest of wanting to go to the next stage of the relationship. At that point in time, when do you think it's time for person A or person B to move on? Like find someone else? Like at what point in time? How long do you, or let me say it this way, how long do you think two people should have dated or courted for them to say that, you know what, I am expecting you to have at least proposed marriage at this time? Since you haven't proposed, I'm moving on to the next person. At what time?
The two people that are in the relationship, I think they should have constant communication too. Like I was saying, it all depends on the person's state of mind.
Okay.
Yes. The person can decide that as I'm heading into a relationship, after 4 years, 5 years, and I don't see anything, I'll just let the person know that this is what is going on. So let's cut it quits. And then in the relationship too, there has to be a communication. We have to know if this person is all in, this person is willing to go with you all out. Yeah, that is when you would know when to call it quits.
Okay. But don't you think that sometimes we have expectations and then we fail to communicate our expectations? And then also sometimes the case where I have my expectations, I have communicated my expectations, but the other person is forcing their expectations on you. Like you said earlier, you were talking about someone going into a relationship, and then it's more like they have a certain expectation. There's something that they are looking forward to after 2 years or 3 years.
Okay.
Once that expectation isn't coming through, they feel it is time for them to move on. Meanwhile, they possibly failed to communicate their expectations to the other person, for the other person to communicate their expectations, for them to come to an agreement that, okay, maybe we want to marry in 3 years, but then can you give me a year or 2 more so that we can get married? Like, yeah, your 3 years is up, but then I am looking at 5 years time. It is failed communication that might cause someone to think that I have to move on from this relationship because what I'm expecting isn't coming forth.
Since your expectations was not communicated to your partner, and then there and then that interaction comes in, and you can decide that oh, okay, so I now know your expectations, so maybe let's give it at least another year or 2 before I can move on or do other stuff that I want. And then maybe it can also happen that no, I am not doing any year or 2.
Okay.
So let's do it right now. Break it off.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that any moment in time of a relationship can be a moment to move on. It shouldn't be a certain number of years. And then for me, I'm saying that because I am looking at character, the things you do that make me happy, the things you are not ready to understand, or the things that I am not ready to understand. It's basically an issue of these things I can't live with. And so there's no point being in a relationship with the aim of I'm changing him or I'm going to change her. She's not the one for you. So move on. You don't really have to
True.
stay for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, knowing very well that I don't want to marry this person because of A, B, C, D. So I think that for me, any moment in a relationship can be a moment where, or time where you move on.
Move on. I get you.
Yeah.
I get you. Should I say experience also counts? Because
Yes, I think it does.
yes, some people are not experienced, so the moment they go into a relationship, they are faced with some things that they kind of break from. So I think once you go into 1-2 relationship, some people learn from it and then know that no, next relationship I'm heading into, I would know what I'll know what I want from my partner, and then if this is not coming, and then I just move on from it.
But some people know that, but then here is the problem or case where they don't take time to digest the things they picked from a relationship they are just moving out from. And so they go into their next relationship basically dumping what they picked from person A on person B. Meanwhile, sometimes person B needs their moment to let you know who they are. They are not the same as person A.
Definitely.
They might have some likeness, but it's not
Really the same.
same. So you can't dump what you pick from person A on person B. And that's something that I think we refuse to learn.
Some people don't really want to learn.
Yeah.
Some people really don't want to learn. They will use the same mental state that they went into and then go into a next relationship.
So like there's no moment of learning or unlearning. There's no moment of healing, readjusting.
Yes.
And
Yes,
sometimes
and all
I feel
that.
being in a relationship is like a business because you need to relearn, unlearn, learn, strategize, adjust
Yes.
before you
Yes.
move on.
Yes.
But it's like, oh, a month is okay. A week, some people cry the next day now they found a new boyfriend or a girlfriend.
Really.
So yeah, I think it's a case of being quick to jump into the next relationship and then they end up dumping onto the other person.
Sure.
So yes, for me, I strongly believe that any time in a relationship is a time to move on. Once the communicated expectations are not being met and someone thinks that you should understand them but they can't understand you, someone thinks that they have the higher power and then you don't, I mean, you're not just looking at the fact that you love the person, you're looking at the fact that you also have to be able to understand the person. You know very well that this person that I am with,
Yeah.
but you hold on to the relationship, basically wasting your time and the person's time when you could have broken it up at an early stage for you both to find whoever you want and then made progress in life. So at any given point in time in a relationship where you think it's not going how I want it, it's not what I'm expecting, or what we communicated to give each other is not what we are giving each other, and it doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon. I think that any given point or time in a relationship is a time to move on. I mean, you don't have to wait for too many years. You hear people, oh, we dated for 7 years, we didn't marry.
Well, they also say love makes us fools sometimes. But right now,
love doesn't make me a fool.
With some lessons I learned personally, I mean, I learned that no, I'm not going to be that foolish anymore.
So, what's like a general conclusion on the topic?
Well, I'd say going into a relationship is an investment too, because you can't waste your time and energy, your resources trying to make things work, and then the other
And you know very
party
well
is not giving out his or her best. No. So since you don't see any conclusive thing coming out, then you just let a person know. Then you end it amicably without
So,
any fights.
For me, as I mentioned earlier, and I so stand by it, any given moment in a relationship is a moment to break off. Where you know that these characteristics were not the things that you portrayed in the beginning. Like when you see there's a switch, when the person's not making an effort about it, communicates the expectations are not being met, it's a moment for you to break. I mean, don't waste your time, don't waste this time.
Definitely.
Just
Call it.
and then
I agree. I agree.
because sometimes it's actually better to break up a relationship faster, and then over a period of time you both resolve your differences, you know that we can be friends, than to hold on to a relationship for too long. It ends and then you both become like the worst of enemies ever. So it's sometimes actually better to break it off early and move on than to break it late,
True.
have enemies and be bitter. That's going to take like a longer period to heal. But as compared to if you had broken off earlier, I'd have healed by now and be making other progress elsewhere.
Definitely.